1, 2. All right, we're ready to roll. 3, 2, 1. Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. You just got back from the Middle East on a congressional delegation. Tell us where you went, what the experience was like at such a perilous time in the region.
It truly is. I led a delegation to the Middle East last week, and we started in Israel, then we visited Jordan, Egypt, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia.
Who did you meet with? What is the general feeling throughout the region right now? Does it feel like it's on edge?
Yes, I met with all of the major leaders in all of those countries, starting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The wonderful, wonderful news at that point was that he felt that the IDF was choking out Hamas. He felt that they were affecting their resupply of munition and arms into the Gaza Strip. However, after we left, of course, then we learned about the 6 hostages that were murdered by Hamas, and that difficults things even more so. In Egypt, we talked to President Sisi. In Jordan, we spoke with King Abdullah. We went on to Qatar and spoke with the Prime Minister Embar there, and then on to Saudi Arabia, where we spoke with the Crown Prince. So all very concerned about what's going on in Israel and in Gaza. And right now, it sounds like a ceasefire may be further away than it was a week ago.
Those leaders you met with in those countries you visited, so many divergent interests, we'll call them. Does it seem like the region can be coordinated in a way that peace can be brought sooner rather than later, or are the relevant parties just too far apart right now? And do you feel the U.S. can play, a positive role in bringing peace?
Well, yes, all of the affected parties are very far apart right now, but I do feel that there is room for American leadership. We need strong leadership to bring these parties to the table and really talk about what's going on and how to find that path forward. There's going to be a lot of negotiation here, but unfortunately what we see right now is a very weak Biden-Harris administration, and they're sending mixed messages to the Middle East, and it's confusing all of those leaders. They're not sure where their alliances are. Is it with Israel? Is it with Iran? So we really don't know, and they don't know. And if they don't know, they will not be able to find a path forward.
I know you worked diligently on the advancement of the Abraham Accords and Hamas's October 7th massacre. They came right out and said it. It was in part because of the peace that was being brokered in the region. Can the broken pieces be picked up? Can normalization with Saudi Arabia be achieved in the near future, or is that just so far on the back burner at this point that it's not really a priority?
Yeah, the Abraham Accords under President Trump was such an incredible achievement for peace and prosperity in the Middle East and ties to Israel with these Arab nations. Do I think we can proceed with the normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia? Yes, I do. I do have hope that that can occur. But in speaking with the Crown Prince, he did state it's going to go forward, but we just don't know when. And a lot of that will depend upon what happens in the Gaza Strip.
Did he give any sort of parameters, XYZ needs to happen first in order to get this done?
Well, I think we do have to see steps towards peace between Israel and those in the Gaza Strip. I think that does need to happen. But in order to do that, Israel needs to see the decimation of Hamas. We need to be putting pressure not only on Hamas, but on Iran as well. We can't continue to appease them. So once we see those steps forward, I think that MBS will come back to the table with the United States and Israel, and I do think that we can secure an agreement.
There was a move by the Biden administration within the last about 2 weeks or so to finally allow weapons transfers to Saudi Arabia after a freeze for quite some time. Do you read into that in any way, that there's an effort now maybe for a last-minute push by the Biden admin before the president's tenure in the White House winds down to push for normalization, or is that a separate issue in your opinion?
Well, I think it is all tied together. Anything one country does affects another, and of course, it's all about the bartering and exchange and what can we get for a deal. So Saudi Arabia, yes, it was frozen for a while, but we will start to see, again, maybe a little thawing of relations between the United States and Saudi Arabia. That's necessary in order to get everybody to the table. So I hope that a deal is moving forward. I hope we can see a deal by the end of the year, but there is a lot riding on it. Of course, it depends very heavily upon what's going on in Israel.
We look even at the UN Security Council meeting yesterday. The entire world seems to be ganging up on the United States for its support of Israel, and then you have others saying the U.S. and the Biden administration is not doing nearly enough to support Israel. There's certainly a dichotomy in the way things are being viewed right now. What can the Biden admin do greater, to any extent, to support Israel in its destruction of Hamas, in giving it the time and the space that it needs to work out a deal?
Well, first thing is to be very clear in their messaging that we support Israel. The United States stands shoulder to shoulder with Israel. The second thing that they can do is make sure that Israel is receiving the weapons and munitions that it needs. There is a very good mill-to-mill, intelligence-to-intelligence rapport between the United States and Israel. We exchange information. Our militaries work very, very well together, but what we don't see is our administration supporting the administration in Israel. We need to show that and signal to the world that we stand with Israel. Hamas is to blame for October 7th. No one else. Well, maybe Iran. Okay, we can put it on Iran. But honestly, we need to stand with Israel and bring this war to a close that is advantageous to Israel and brings our hostages home.
We are at a political convention here this week in Las Vegas. How much of the Biden admin's posture right now toward Israel do you feel is political in nature, is electoral in nature? And how much do you feel the issues of Israel and anti-Semitism and American Jewish voting are going to play in the respective parties' platforms and messaging?
Well, it is political season, and I do think that the administration, the Biden-Harris administration, is trying to figure out how to straddle this fence. There is no straddling this fence. You choose the side of right, and that is the side of Israel. You can't appease people who are raising the Hamas flag over college campuses. You can't express any sort of latitude for them. They need to know that we stand with Israel. We are going to see peace in the region, and that will be when Hamas is decimated and we are able to contain Iran again. So anti-Semitism is rampant right now across the United States. I do think it's a big issue. I do think it's going to play out in the November election. But again, right is right, wrong is wrong. I will be supporting Donald J. Trump. This is the Republican Jewish Coalition. And the message here is very, very clear that we need a change in administration. We need strong leadership. We need peace in the Middle East. And the only way we are going to see that is if we have a change in the United States. And that change starts in the White House with Donald J. Trump.
Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Absolutely. Thank you.